This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Welcome everybody to the June Commission on Disability meeting. So the first thing we always do is a roll call. I do know Luis is not going to be here. A few minutes early, so are you okay doing the last 10 minutes?
Sure.
Okay. All right, do you want to start with your introduction?
Hi,
Hi, Bruce.
I'm Jennifer Sokolowski. I work at Riverside Industries.
You want to go next?
Right. You guys already know me though.
Oh, yeah. Come on in.
Hello, we're from Massability. Are we in the right place?
You are. You are definitely in the right place.
Okay.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Just take a seat right over
Okay,
there.
sounds good. Thank you so much.
We were just doing introductions. And I wasn't sure if you were coming in person or online. So we only got 2 people in, so we'll start over. That was a practice. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Sokolowski. I work at Riverside Industries across the way.
Nice to meet you.
And you are?
Right.
And you're a member of the commission.
I'm a member of the commission
Yeah.
From?
from Riverside.
I'm Eli Damon. I'm the vice chair.
Angelique, the chair.
I'm Dylan Maxfield, I'm Associate Planner for Easthampton.
I'm Madeline Marzola. I'm a vocational and career counselor for Massability in Springfield.
And I'm Jim McAleer, and I'm a supervisor at the Massability office in Springfield for career services.
Okay, and we still don't have Stan, right?
Nope, no online.
I'm just gonna text him.
I'm Bruce.
Bruce Homestead, I'm on the commission.
I'm just gonna message one of our members that's not here yet, but and so we're just waiting on Connie Denham. She is going to give us an update on the accessibility ordinance, which we'll talk about that after. So she's in a meeting. So when that meeting's done, she's going to switch on over.
We got Stan.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Hi, do you want to introduce who you are?
Hi there.
Just sign in.
Can you hear? You can hear okay?
I'm sorry.
Can you hear okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm okay. I've just been very busy this morning. They came to service my central air conditioning, and I've been just running all morning.
Do you want to just introduce who you are real quick?
I'm Stan Diamond, longtime member of this committee.
Perfect. So like I said, Louise is not here. We're not missing anybody, right?
Leslie.
Oh, yes, Leslie. She is not. She say she, well, I guess we'll see. Maybe she says she couldn't make it. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check that. Okay. So we're gonna go right into the speaker part. So you wanna take it away?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, let me begin. So we represent Mass Ability, which many of you may know was formerly the Massachusetts Rehabilitation Commission. We changed our name back in September. And there were some reasons for that. I think the name rehabilitation, should I stop?
No,
No, you're.
you have to shut this off. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I think the name rehabilitation and our name was confusing to a lot of people. I think some people thought that we were more about addiction recovery, which, by the way, we can serve people who have addiction issues if they're looking for services. That can be a qualifying disability. But Maddie and I represent the Career Services Division of Mass Ability. So there are different programs under the Mass Ability umbrella. We represent career services, so we were going to talk about that primarily.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I just want you
continue.
to mention
Yeah.
the home services as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I can touch on some of the other services that fall under that umbrella besides career services. We have the home care assistance program, which again is part of our community living program. That's for individuals ages 18 to 59 who might need help with doing kind of light chores around the house. Might involve some light cleaning, maybe some bathroom cleaning, some light meal preparation. Things to really kind of support them if they have a qualifying disability where they need that kind of support. And, there isn't any kind of comparable benefit in the community through other agencies that they can qualify for. They do, under Mass Ability Home Care Assistance, they do have to meet financial guidelines for that. Again, it's for individuals with a disability ages 18 to 59. Individuals who are older would go through their area agency on aging. So, that would be depending on where someone lives, Greater Springfield Senior Services, West Mass Elder Care, High Valley Elder Services, for similar types of services. We also, under that umbrella, under community living of Mass Ability, is the statewide head injury program. Many people know that as SHIP. That is for individuals who have sustained a traumatic brain injury. So that is for anyone who has an externally caused brain injury. So it could be from a gunshot, it could be from a fall, it could be from an assault, a car accident, something that's externally caused. So people do not qualify for SHIP services if they've had a stroke, for example, if they've had encephalitis or brain cancer or some other condition that's certainly damaging to the brain and imposes limitations. But statewide head injury program is specifically for traumatic brain injury. And that provides individuals who qualify a level of case management and support in living in a community, and living as independently as possible. For example, managing their financial and medical affairs, perhaps, if they need to access social activities in the community, they can be provided assistance with that. Really with almost anything related to independent living, to have that case management support, counseling on understanding their brain injury as well, because you think about it, if you've had a brain injury, you may have trouble understanding how your injury is affecting you, or you may not understand that you're really different from the way you were before the brain injury. So these kinds of services are really designed to help people with that. And Massachusetts was really a leader in developing services for traumatic brain injuries. I'm pretty proud to say that. And there is a brain injury community center locally in this area that's funded by the statewide head injury program. It's in Westfield, and that provides kind of like a clubhouse model for people who might be thinking about employment, but again, also social activities. People can take part in actually running the clubhouse, if you will, at the Brain Injury Community Center. So it might involve doing outreach to other people who maybe haven't been at the center for a while. It might involve, running the day-to-day aspects of the center. You know, there's a business community, as I said, there's outreach. They have other programs that they do at the community center, like exercise, you know, as I said, other social activities. So that's all under the statewide head injury program. People are funded for that. And that's, again, a mass ability program. Maddie and I represent the Career Services Division. So that's for individuals with a disability who are interested in employment. And we're talking about competitive employment. I know I'm kind of dominating the stage here. Did you want to talk a little more about career services in terms of the types of services that we can provide and the eligibility? And I can chime in.
So we do, among the services that we provide within career services, counseling and guidance, you know, just to develop realistic and doable vocational goal. So we do different assessments with the participant just to determine what type of skills they have, what type of abilities, and from there we can, you know, develop a plan for services.
I put you on hold for 1 minute because a member's trying to get in and I don't want to be disrespectful and not hear what you have to say. I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
So you don't have his email address. I just need to.
Yeah, I don't,
Okay, he wanted me to text it, but I don't even know how to. So Jeff,
243
Brown.
Cottage Street in Springfield. And in
No.
East Springfield.
at Gmail.
Oh, Jeff is still doing it.
Sent.
The name of the agency. It's a Mass Ability. Mass Ability Career Services is what we represent.
We're just gonna hold on 1 minute to because otherwise he might keep messaging.
Sure. Yeah, just let us know.
So sorry.
No problem.
That's fine.
We go with the flow. We have technical difficulties at our agency too, believe me.
The cable company truck out in front of your house in the morning.
Oh yeah, I actually had that recently, and I said, oh, I guess I'm going into the office today because some days we telework. You know, we're hybrid. Yeah.
But, on King Street last week, I don't know if there was an accident or what, but
He said just the link without the stuff inside the minutes.
He didn't get the link?
And what can you do when you don't have
I
it?
think he
Right?
just wants the link.
It's all for what we've come to.
This.
so today.
Didn't send them that. They just
Oh,
sent
okay. Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, they just,
I guess they had no
Yeah.
choice.
the
Yeah.
whole info, but the link is.
I guess have them
Ah.
sign an IOU or something. Yeah.
Take it away.
Okay.
Again.
Career services. So Maddie was talking about the plan, the individualized plan for employment.
Dan has-
Thought he was gonna have.
Dan, you needed something?
I had a question. Both my wife and I are in our 80s, and she has a heart condition, and I have myasthenia gravis, which is considered a disability. And I was wondering if there are any services or things that you could do for us through your program, or is it only disability injuries that you work with?
So Stan, we have to wait till the end till they get through their stuff.
Fair
first.
enough.
Okay.
So as I was saying, on one of the services, I think it's one of the main services that we provide is job counseling and guidance. Again, if somebody comes to our office and they're not really sure what they want to do for work, because everything we do is geared towards employment. So we do some vocational assessments to see what type of abilities and skills a person has in order to develop a vocational plan for services. Job placement services, which is, I always call it bread and butter, because that's basically our main service, because we're all about job placement. So we do work with some agencies out in the community that only works with our participants, and we have a job placement team within the office that provide those type of services in order to assist individuals to find employment. We also, as long as the individual or the participant meets our financial guidelines, we may be able to help them with funding for college, state education, vocational training, short-term trainings. We also partner with Mass Hire. Imagine you're familiar with that agency for training and also job placement.
We don't know what that is.
Okay, so Mass Hire, they work with individuals who are receiving unemployment benefits in order to help them find another job or go back to work, right?
Yeah, Mass Hires really kind of replaced the traditional unemployment offices that used to exist. They're private agencies technically, but they do receive a lot of funding from the government. And there's 3 locations in the valley. So there's Mass Hire Springfield, which used to be Future Works. You might know that name. There's Mass Hire Holyoke, which used to be Career Point. And then we have Mass Hire in Greenfield, which used to be Franklin, Hampshire Career Center. So, and Mass Hire Greenfield still maintains a satellite location in Northampton at the Forbes Library. So there is some accessibility for people in Hampshire County if they want to meet them there, or certainly a lot of people go over to Mountain and Holyoke. Holyoke office, which just moved off of High Street. They're now on Race Street, which is really a hop, skip, and a jump away, a little bit lower down the road, down the main road from Holyoke, Main Street. So,
yeah. So other services that we provide is for individuals who are already working, but they need like home modifications, vehicle modifications. As long as they meet our financial need guidelines, we could, make a referral to the department in Boston that covers that type of service, and they do an assessment, like an evaluation, to make sure what type of modifications the home needs for the vehicle.
Can you give an example?
For example, I have a participant that we just closed on successfully, meaning that he's working, and he needed some vehicle modifications because he has to go to work. He doesn't. His car was not really that reliable.
his car had aged out. He was
Yeah.
previously using a modified vehicle, and it was on its last legs. And as Maddie said, we can provide modifications through the Career Services Division if it's to help somebody either obtain employment or retain employment. In this case, the person was already working, but was in danger of losing their job if he couldn't get to work on a reliable basis. I don't think, he was in a situation where he could access public transportation, for example.
Like,
to
can
get
you
to
give an
work.
example? Are you talking about like steps to get up into a truck? Are you talking about like?
It could be any of those things. It could be a ramp. It could be increasing the height of the van to accommodate a wheelchair. Could have the fastening devices to secure a wheelchair in the van. It might have actual adaptive driving equipment if the person is going to drive themselves, assisted steering, hand controls, many different kinds of technology. I mean, the technology it's mind-boggling actually.
What about for a home?
So home modifications are, again, it's connected to helping people go to work. And the idea is, if you can't safely leave your home or get ready for work, prepare for work in a safe environment, that your ability to work is going to be compromised. So, what we've seen in home modifications, it's in more recent years, it's been primarily limited to ramps and doing bathroom modifications to help people, with being able to be safe and again, to prepare for work. So it doesn't normally entail a lot of other types of modifications that someone might need.
And that's why an evaluation is needed, just to determine exactly what is it that the individual needs at their homes or cars. We also have provided hearing aids for people who have, hearing disability. Again, those are, we call them paid services, so individuals have to meet our financial need criteria in order for them to be able to receive that type of service. And we also work with high school students in their transition from high school to either work or high school to post-secondary education. Did I leave anything else?
I
So
think you
you're
did
in-
pretty well.
You're in the high school here?
Yes, and we thank you for this opportunity because I have been trying to get into the schools unsuccessfully. So if you have any names, any contact information that you can share with me, I will appreciate it.
About, in other towns, you mean?
Like here.
About
there's a-
Easthampton High in
Oh, you're not,
particular.
you're not in the high school yet?
It's an assigned
It's an
school.
assigned school to me and we have to do outreach to the different schools, but unfortunately I haven't been able to connect with anybody.
Okay, I'll help you.
Thank you.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
we just, some schools, we have a fairly wide catchment area out of the Springfield office. We cover out to the east in Palmer, Munson, Ware, Belchertown. We cover up to the north, this way, Southampton, Westhampton, Northampton. Out to the west, Westfield, some of the hill towns like Huntington, Montgomery, Long Meadow and East Long Meadow to the south of Springfield. And there are other offices of Massability throughout the state. There's about 20 offices throughout the state. We do have a Massability office in Greenfield as well, which I think you had spoken with Maureen Guinipero, Angelique, previously. She's out of the Greenfield office. They have their own catchment area, but it's primarily Franklin County.
Right.
Exactly. So, and then we do have an office that covers the Berkshires out in, the office is actually called the Berkshires, but they are located in Pittsfield and they have a satellite location in North Adams. And then we have offices in Worcester and Southbridge and all over eastern Massachusetts as well. So if somebody moves from this area
Right.
and they're moving to the east, they can have their case transferred to another office. So long as they're staying in Massachusetts, every state has its own program. Again, we've traditionally fall under what's called vocational rehabilitation. So every state has its own vocational rehabilitation program. So people would need to apply in their own state, ideally.
So what would you do in the high school then?
Excuse me, in the high school, we have a program for high school students called PREETS, Pre-Transitional Employment Services. And it's basically services to prepare the students for work. They can talk about, and if the fundings are available, sometimes the vendors are able to find paid internships. So if a student that never has had an experience, working, they can find them an internship, a paid internship, to give them those skills and, work experience. They talk about self-advocacy. Even they discuss the different options for college. So they talk about that. Also, how to complete financial aid applications. And also, we are always available to attend IEP meetings, just to go in and talk about what, service we provide during and after the student, during high school and then after they graduate.
So just to be clear, the student would already have to be diagnosed with a disability.
Yes.
Okay, and who, it could be anybody, their primary care? Or are you saying receiving disability benefit?
They don't need to be receiving disability benefits as long as they have a disability. And we don't request medical records anymore,
Okay.
like we used to. So with the high school student, mostly if they have a chapter 688, no, I'm sorry, a 504 plan or an IEP, we could use that for, to determine. that
And
they
what is
do
it
have a
called again, the
disability.
program?
I'm sorry?
What was the program called again?
PREETS, PRE and then ETS, PREETS.
Pre-employment transition
Pre-employment transition
services.
services.
And again, the idea of reaching out to high school students, and again, we're talking about high school students. We really at Massability, we don't accept individuals until they're at least 16 years old. And we recommend that they be referred 2 years before leaving high school, no more than 2 years, but ideally at least a year before they leave. so that the counselor can get to know them and help them with transition planning. It's about partnering with the school so that we can better get to know these students. And again, the students have to have a goal of competitive employment. That's why we exist. So we're looking at those students who are thinking about working competitively. And again, the pre-ups model, as Maddie said, it could involve an internship. It's really a light touch type internship. It's a limited number of hours, maybe 20 to 30 hours. They're actually looking at kind of remodeling the model for pre-ups, if you will.
20 to 30 a month or a week?
No, it's a very short-term internship. It's a light exposure that people are supposed to get. So, but sometimes it proves to a student and their family that, that the student can actually work. Whereas, they may have been in the mindset like, oh, you'll be on disability when you leave school. You're not going to be working. So, and again, having, not that there's anything wrong with being on disability, but maybe a student wants to have more. Maybe they want to have a higher scaling in terms of what they can earn, have more independence, not be dependent on, what's going to happen if they lose their benefits, for example, if they have more control over that. And, frankly, a lot of people are concerned about that right now, the way things are in our government. So we're just trying to connect with all those students that might benefit from our services. Again, leaving high school and no longer having an IEP, an individualized education plan, is scary for a lot of students and families. They're saying, well, now what? We used to have all the support that we were getting from the school. Now we're leaving school. Who can kind of pick up the ball a little bit and help guide our future in terms of what is possible? So, but we expect people to meet us halfway. They need to be able to attend meetings with their counselor. They need to be able to provide some of the documentation we need, like financial need documentation. Sometimes even though we don't require documentation of disability for eligibility, like actual medical documentation, sometimes that can still be helpful to the counselor in terms of understanding what their disability issues are. So we hope that actually people will share that with us in many cases. And a lot of people that we work with, the largest disability group that we work with are people with psychiatric disabilities. It's probably about at least 40% of the people that we work with. It's probably even higher because some people don't even identify as having a disability, and yet they have a psychiatric diagnosis like depression or anxiety. And some of those conditions can be very disabling to the point where people can't leave their homes. So we see a lot of that. As I mentioned earlier, substance use disorder. I talked about traumatic brain injuries earlier. We have the SHIP program, but those folks, if they want to work, can work with career services as well if they're interested in competitive employment. All kinds of physical disabilities we work with. So if somebody's been injured in a previous job and they can no longer do that, maybe they want to come to us to look at, well, what else could I do? Can you help me figure that out? What other type of work could I do? What else is out there? What do I need to do in order to be able to do this kind of work? And maybe it's college, but maybe it's also a really short-term vocational training like Maddie was saying. It could be truck driving. It could be nurse assisting. It could be cosmetology. We do a lot of on-the-job trainings with employers like CVS. We've done things with Home Depot in the past. We've done trainings with employers to prepare people for work in the human services field or as recovery coaches. So we have a pretty wide range of services that we can provide to people in terms of employment, in terms of helping people figure out what it is that they need in order to be successful in employment.
We need to switch over to asking questions in a minute. Is that stuff you wanted us to see?
So yeah, this is actually, it talks more about career services. And there is a QR code on the back of that can, if you scan that, you'll actually be able to see all of the services. It'll take you actually to the website where it will actually explain the different programs that you were asking about earlier. It also has the supported living program, which is for people who have a severe physical disability, plus also one additional disability that impacts their functioning. And they need to be at least 17 years or older. and their own legal guardian. And it gives them a level of case management. It could be, thank you, it could be for identifying housing resources, identifying recreational opportunities, help with their finances. So again, that case management that's so important to helping people live independently in the community. So we're really all about trying to maximize that for people.
And we have bilingual counselors for individuals who only speak Spanish. And we also have counselors that work with the deaf and hard of hearing community.
Yeah.
Stan, you want to ask your question again?
Sure. I understood that a lot of the special ed programs in high school and public school were impacted by cuts from the federal government to the education department when they were trying to shut down the education department. Are your funds coming in that way also, or are they separate from federal funds?
I thought your question was about if they had services for you.
No, that they continued talking and came to this topic for me.
Oh, got it.
So, you know, in terms of our program, we are primarily federally funded. Even though we're a state agency, we are primarily federally funded. You know, we are entering a new fiscal year beginning July 1, and our funds are not as bountiful as they have been in previous years. So everything that we've talked about, we can still provide, but it's going to be on a more limited basis, frankly. You know, and we're really trying to, you know, get the funds to the people that most need it. We're trying to help people identify free resources where that's possible. And again, work with some of our partners in the community, like Mass Hire, and there are others as well that we work with that offer different kinds of training and job placement help as well. So we are still in business. Let's just say, you know, we're still, you know, kind of holding our breath, honestly, for additional impacts, because every time you turn on the news, you really don't know what is happening in terms of, you know, what's going to be cut next. So, you know, we are, as an agency, we're funded by the Rehabilitation Services Administration, and that is an arm of the Department of Education, which you've heard about a lot in the news, that they want to dismantle the Department of Education. So, you know, we're very hopeful that we will be able to continue, or that maybe our services would be assigned to a different department. There's been talk of that possibly. So we don't know, but all we can do is go forward with what we do know right now. And that is that we are committed to using what we have to helping people with disabilities and to fulfill our mission.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I am. Do you work with day programs like Riverside Industries or Sunshine Village, or is that completely separate?
So do you want to answer that?
Well, let me see, things have changed for, you know, in the last few years, but for example, with Sunshine Village, that's funded through DDS.
Yeah, so it's Riverside.
Yeah. But we can work with the individual anyway. We can work in conjunction with Sunshine Village.
If they had a goal of competitive employment, that's what we would be looking for.
Yeah.
Honestly, we have worked, you know, very recently we worked with Riverside. As a matter of fact, they did provide pre-ed services in some of our schools. Sarah Chaplin is great. I mean, she's like my favorite one, but unfortunately, with some of the reductions that we've had to reduce the number of vendors that we worked with. So I was really sad to hear that Sarah and Riverside was one of those. So I'm hoping that maybe in the future we'll get you guys back on board and things look a little better. But if you talk to her, tell her that Jim said, "You're wonderful, you rock." That's all I will say. So.
Are there any other questions?
Yes.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And I'll give you the high school information. I'll email it.
Okay, I can give my email.
Yes, he's around.
Connie, we're gonna go to you in 1 minute. Bruce, Will you please tell us what all those letters after your name mean? You seem to be a very qualified individual. And your email after your name, is it like registered nurse or?
Who are that, but I'm a registered dietitian. And I'm licensed dietitian in Massachusetts.
Can you talk a little bit louder?
I'm a licensed dietitian in Massachusetts. Registered dietitian with the Massachusetts. Then the AFNCP is Applied Functional Medicine and Clinical Practice. Well, I've got so many jobs because medicine doesn't. So then certified facility managers. Just finance and office.
Okay.
MS. They threw me out of the PhD program, so.
They threw you out, huh?
Well, they want me to.
You're a little rowdy.
Yeah, 'cause, you know, I'm in Norwegian about banking, so, you know.
Yep,
We're gonna leave some brochures here, just in case
Sure.
somebody interested.
thank you.
If you have any other questions, certainly let us know. So you have our business cards. And, you know, very quickly, we didn't really talk about how people apply for services, but we do have a Mass Ability Connect division.
Okay.
And if you go to that QR code, it'll actually show you where people can apply on the portal for services. And the eligibility requires an intake usually, although there is an AI assisted intake that people can do now if they prefer, and it may even negate the necessity for them to meet with an eligibility screener through Mass Ability Connect. So, but normally the actual meetings with the screeners are done virtually. In rare cases, if the person requires it, if they don't have access virtually or some other reason, you know, something can be set up in person, but normally they're done virtually or over the phone.
Okay.
And then once Connect determines the eligibility, that referral is sent to a field office like Springfield based on where the person lives. So, and then they meet with their counselor and get started like Maddie was describing about the plan development process. So, but if you have any other questions, I know there's a lot that we could cover here, and I don't want to take over your meeting to take any more time, but definitely call us if you have any other questions, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
And Maddie will follow up with you on Easthampton High too, if you can. So, yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Nice meeting you all.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
You too. So Eli and I met with,
Good to know.
Very good. Thank you again.
and Brad, City Councilor Riley is
That's
gonna be there, but she couldn't make
secret.
it, so.
You're welcome.
Did you get an update by any chance, or?
Yeah, so sorry, it's hard to I only see a few people. So I'm not sure who's all there, but I chatted with former Councilor Gomez, President Gomez, and now State Rep Gomez. But he had said that, and this is kind of my take, that he had spoken to a number of folks kind of in the city about the ordinance that you all were discussing. And from his perspective and talking to folks, that it would be challenging for some of our small businesses to be able to make significant changes to their entryways or things inside that would make things more accessible. So it wasn't that it wasn't wanted or not a recognition of not being needed. There was just real concern about kind of the affordability of small businesses. And so kind of that's just the general kind of take that I got from that. But you know, maybe there's ways of being able to explore other things that could support some of that accessibility.
But
So
that's not what we asked. Can you
Yeah,
hear?
I can hear you.
Okay, but I'm so confused right now. We
Yeah.
never said a one tiny word about asking businesses to do anything.
Great. Yeah. So I'm just
Yeah,
reporting back to you kind of what I
So-
heard. So I haven't been involved in any of these.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure this out. So that was kind of the general sense that I got. There was just that. So this is great that we're having this conversation because then we can kind of figure this out more.
I'm confused how he was confused because, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah.
So that was completely not that tells me he doesn't remember the conversation at all.
Okay.
Because what we asked for was not any accessibility changes. We asked for an ordinance where businesses could identify a contact person to talk about their existing accessibility features.
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
So it's like or maybe post whether it is wheelchair accessible. We're not asking anybody to like make an elevator in their small cottage street shop, but we do want to know if there's a step there and that people with wheelchairs could get in. We do want to know about the back door to the comic book shop that already exists. And so that was it. We wanted a streamlined communication about already existing features. And the fact that we have been talking about this for a year, and that was his takeaway, and that was what he was communicating was about modifying businesses. That's concerning.
Yep. So I don't think it wasn't just about that. I think the other thing that he had mentioned was that, finding the right person to be able to communicate that. So I don't want to misrepresent, like, I know you all had conversation with, so I don't want to misrepresent him in any way, because I'm just kind of stepping into this. So I think he was supportive. I think he was kind of expressing concern about the capacity of businesses being able to do these things, right? So, and that was some of the conversation that had happened. And I know we chatted yesterday, but I didn't have the full context of past conversations. So I don't in any way want to misrepresent him or anything like that. So I think for us right now, that's good to understand, good to hear. So I think that let's figure out how we can kind of move forward with, right? Move forward. So
The other important part of what we were trying to get is that if a business or any space is planning a public event, that in the advertising that they put out for the public event, they talk about what ADA things are available and also provide a contact person so somebody who is disabled can get more information about what they will find when they come to the event.
Okay.
As part of the advertising of the event. I'd like that, required on all such advertising.
Okay. Great.
Okay. Thank you for passing that on. I mean, that was kind of the feeling that I got the entire process. Like, as I said, like, we would meet, fully explain everything, have that person was supposed to come back. And then when they came back, it was always starting at square one. Like, what is it you were asking again?
Sure.
And so this totally makes, like, I don't know where that piece came from, because last I knew he was going to talk to the Massachusetts Office of Disability for the correct language. So it sounded like he fully understood what we wanted. He just didn't know how to write it up. So this is like a new wow, I don't even know how to react. I'm kind of angry and I'm kind of sad and I'm kind of laughing because it's just preposterous. Like, I don't even know how, can you see the, because I shared it because Jeff, has been longer than a year. It's been like 3 years, 4 years. So,
Sure, yeah. And you know, there was a lot going on, right? And so you know, I think it was again, I don't want to misrepresent.
of course.
That was kind of my take. Maybe there were multiple conversations that he was having with folks. I don't know, right? So, but I think it's about how do we move forward? And how do we um you know, talk about, and I don't know, right? So I don't know, is an ordinance the right thing? Is it talking to businesses? Like, so we can figure some of those pieces, you know, collectively, we can figure those things out.
Do you, because as Jeff said, I'm a little worried who he spoke to. Did he mention? Because if I have to go back and maybe talk to people and correct what we're going for, or
Yeah, no, I don't think he just indicated that he had communication with other folks and people come in, people go. And so it was just kind of an ongoing conversation. And then, like I said, I my take, there was some, and again, I think this was a few years ago, right? Too. And I think that there was just a lot going on in the community. And and I wasn't always here, so I don't know what
right.
some
No,
people
it's
did
okay.
for me. So I think that there was just some trying to figure out how to be supportive of your asks. I think there was trying to figure out in the moment how to be supportive of small businesses, because like I said, there was, you know, I don't know if this was during COVID, post COVID, all, you know, all of those various things of being able to navigate kind of capacity of small businesses, right? So that's, I think, part of where the concern was coming. But your response and what I'm hearing from you, right, was not the entirety of what was being asked. So I think that, you know, we can kind of figure some of those things. We can figure these things out, how to move forward.
There,
Go ahead, Jeff.
there shouldn't be a conflict between the needs. If you think, you know, I mean, if a business can identify that Mary would know about our accessibility, you know, Mary the manager is the best person to talk to about our what we can do for disabled folks, you know,
Sure.
who want to attend an event at the performance space, then they can say that on the little form. There's no mandate that any accessibility. I mean, this ordinance shouldn't be creating any kind of mandate about you know, about any additional features that businesses would design. I mean, that's covered in the ADA, and that's great, but the ordinance wouldn't be adding to any of that. It would be just how does you know, it would be to streamline the process that disabled folks attending the events would get you know, information about whether to it, you know, whether it's you know, about what they would need, you know. I don't know, you know, who would we ask if they had this you know, who would we ask to find out if a particular disability need could be accommodated?
Yep. I hear that. And
Well, I just want to let people know that Connie we just had a meeting last night. Like she knew nothing about this. City Councilor Riley said he was gonna help us, and he's out of town right now, so, Connie just stepped in as like assisting us versus leading the project, and
Great.
so, I'm gonna have to wait to hear back from Brad, and I will reach out to, Owen Zaret, because he was handling it before he left his position. I'll try to get hold of him again, because I thought he had a pretty good grasp, but we'll see. So,
Yeah. So I don't know if what he has. I can, again, I think it's possible for us to move forward. I don't know if that individual is going to share what he had put together. So I think that we can, either craft something new, or be able to, because this is actually, I'll be honest, like this is very helpful, because wasn't my interpretation, right? So I think that this is good for us to be able to think this through, and then I can begin to, once Councilor Riley gets back from being away, I can kind of have that conversation with him also, and then we can kind of begin to craft something or draft something. Again, I don't know if it's ordinance, right? Like it.
So that is what I was instructed. I didn't come up with that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's why I'm like, that's interesting. Like, I don't know if there's some other thing that we could do, or make some other request that doesn't require an ordinance. But so I think we can think that through a little bit.
It was President Gomez that, when because I met with him with coffee, and he just wanted to like get to know the Commission on Disability. And when I told him about this, he is the one that said that would be an ordinance. So.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Who is on the ordinance committee currently? Do you know by any chance, or?
Yep. So President Derby is, and Councilor Smith, Tamara Smith.
Oh, okay. I do know that Councilor Riley mentioned about talking to Councilor Smith. So
yeah, and I think that I think all three of them would be supportive. And again, that's helpful that you heard that from former President Gomez. Yeah, so I think that's all this is all very helpful, right? Like, I think the more we talk, the more context I'm getting, and more understanding that's, because I just want to acknowledge, I can hear the frustration, right, in your voices. And this experience has gone on longer than I think you were anticipating, in terms of wanting to kind of meet the needs of folks who are needing accessibility, so they can participate in just kind of Easthampton life, right? So I want to acknowledge that, and then like I said, like, this is all new information to me, and so I think that there's some opportunity here to begin to work on this and kind of bring this vision that you have into fruition and make that happen.
Well, thank you. I think for me, this is worse than I thought it was. Because I think we're starting at square one, and I think we're actually behind square one than if there's been these miscommunication. So yeah. Well, so I'm not sure what would be a next step then.
Sure. I think the next step is one, if you want to reach out to Councilor Zaret, or former Councilor Zaret, to see if he's willing to offer that up. That would be a good starting point. But if not, I think that what you have articulated and outlined is enough for me to be able to kind of begin to explore some things and then get something back to you. Not necessarily a draft, right? But maybe some ideas that we can kind of talk through of this is where some of the things that other communities have done, or this is something that the city has talked about, etc. So I think that those are some things that I need to do a little bit of research on, and then I can kind of get back to you about what that could look like.
So one of the things that they had us do was they literally, even though they kept meeting with us and taking notes and whatever, they still had us come up with a written thing, even though we didn't know what kind of jargon to use.
Sure.
And that was given to both of them. And then they were taking that and going to Counselor Derby and going to the Massachusetts Office on Disability for the correct jargon. So I thought we were like way further down the road than that. So
okay. Do you have that language?
Yeah, I'll have to find it I'm sure. So.
Yeah, great. So if you want to share that with me, then I can kind of get moving on that. So I think that would be a good place for me to start.
It's just what we wrote though, so that's
totally fine. The more I can see in terms of the language that you're looking for or your ideas, I think the better I can see kind of your thinking.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you.
Of course, yeah.
Yes, Dan.
One thing I wanted to sort of clarify, we're not necessarily talking about requiring businesses to make physical changes to their facilities, but it might be good to require, like someplace like the pizza store in the main square there, to put on their menu that you can't get in with a wheelchair because there are two or three steps up into the store. Those kinds of things where it won't cost them a lot of money, but it would let people know what to expect when they get there. We found out when we first started this that some of the checkout aisles in Big E supermarket were not wide enough to accommodate a wheelchair.
Okay, yeah.
Put that in your advertising, those kinds of things.
Go ahead, Jeff, and then we have to wrap up. Jeff, can't hear you.
Stan, isn't that beyond the scope of what we were talking about? We were talking specifically about events before, and now I'm hearing about mandates for businesses beyond that. I think
it was for businesses too.
It was for businesses too?
Yes.
I thought it was only for like public events. Okay, never mind.
I think we had two levels, right? Like that we had the thing for events, and then like we wanted something more general, but we were like, I don't know what I'm saying.
No, you're doing good. You're doing good. Yes. So
yeah, you're doing good.
So it's for city-run events. We also want it for all events, but we might not have control over all events, right? And then,
that's what I heard was city events. Yeah,
it's for any business in Easthampton, because the whole point is to people not to feel so different because they're disabled, or they need an accommodation. So yes, it's definitely. We would like every business to just know somewhere, have something listed about what kind of accommodations they do have. So, all right. Well, thank you. We only have like 2 minutes left, and I have to go through like 10 things. So, thank you, Connie. We'll talk again.
Thank you.
Okay. So I will run through this stuff. We didn't have anybody here for public speak. The minutes, did anybody have any problem with the minutes? Everybody okay with the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So cultural chaos, we are gonna have a table with the Council on Aging. I just have to check if they have a table and they have a tent because it requires a table and a tent. So, because if we have to provide our own, that is going to be a little more difficult. Jeff Brown, you said you would be there. Leslie,
I
you
can,
said
I
you could do
can,
a little bit.
Yeah, and I
yeah,
made, I
yeah,
made, I
can.
made a sign,
Oh, thank you. You're
And
the
it-
bestest.
has QR codes on it, so
Love
people
it.
can be in touch with us.
You're hired.
Thank you. And I made another one that just says what our, overview, I took it off the website.
Thank you. Love
So-
that.
So that we have some stuff.
Somebody just told me today the website says our our old day and time of meetings, Tuesdays 10 to 11. So I wrote to the office to see if it can be changed. So the other thing would be the collaboration with the Northampton and Amherst disability commissions. So the movie night that I sent you guys, I'll leave your
Yeah, I have
So-
received nothing.
So basically, it's each one of the towns has a movie night. So our movie night is July 5th, basically 2 to 5. We'll show half the movie, take a 10-minute break, bathrooms. Hopefully the mayor's gonna cover some snickety snacks. And then it'll be at the Marigold. I've invited some tables to be there. So the Council on Aging, the Veterans Office, the Veterans Wellness Program, a couple of tables in case people come and they want to have access to these folks that they normally don't have access to. So,
Can I
that-
interrupt you? For
Yeah.
1 second?
of course.
Can I just go back, Jeff? Can you and I touch base about when you want to be there and when I'm gonna be there at Cultural Chaos?
Yes, we can definitely, what, do you want to touch base about that afterwards? I mean, but
Yes.
I would say, depending on what's going on, like I can barely walk, so I'm not going to be able to help with setup or takedown. So if that informs your decision, but we can definitely touch base separately.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Angelique,
Yes.
if you need it, I have a 6-foot plastic folding table
Okay.
that you can borrow.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I'll let you know.
Okay,
They already have theirs, but we'll see. What else? I feel like there was something.
Want me to remind you about the fireworks thing?
Yes. So I don't, the fireworks are gonna be here before our next meeting though, so that's really hard. So online, I was trying to figure out where the accessible toilets are, the accessible parking. I made a post under, in the Easthampton group. So Pascalina is the person that runs the Cultural Chaos, and so she was letting me know where the bathrooms and stuff are. So I just wanna, I'm not sure how to get that information out other than put it on our page. So you and I can talk about that. I feel like there was something else. I'll have to get the sign, the Commission on Disability. We have a big sign. I'll have to get it for Cultural Chaos. And so for the fireworks, I think you're right. I think you have to pay to get in, which I don't know that we'll have a table there, because then, do people have a strong feeling about having a table there? I mean, I would like to have a table everywhere all the time, but like that takes people to man that. So
You do have to pay to get in, but I think they take vendors too. You might be able to contact them to see if you can set up a table without paying.
So after this meeting, like I will, Lindsay, the mayor's assistant, she printed out the applications and she printed out the flyers for the movie. And so we'll have to make sure that's the literature we're gonna have on the table. And so I have homework for you guys, because I asked this a couple years ago, but I'm gonna ask again. For our next meeting, I wanted folks to make a list of how do I want to word it? Like positive attributes you have and then weaknesses you have, because going forward, I need to know how best we can utilize each other. So if somebody's like really shy, they don't like talking, I don't want to ask them, I don't want to pressure them to be at a table. That's too much for them. If they have, you know, you guys, some of you guys have day jobs, so you might have this example right here, making these fine signs for us all the time. So yeah, I just want you guys to think about what you feel like you're good at, what you feel is not your cup of tea. So going forward, and we'll discuss it next time. Connie, yeah.
Yeah, just a quick question, sorry. The movie on July 5th, I know you have flyers for that. Is there like a Facebook post or anything like that that I can do to promote that?
I can send you the Facebook event.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, and I think, so the next meeting, is there anything else under new business that's super pressing? The next meeting is July 10th. I do feel like there was something and I'm forgetting it, but, okay, all right. So nothing else, guys? No, all right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.